Introduction of Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Introduction. America's magazine of wit, humor, and philosophy. We have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is loyalty to the American people. Theodore Roosevelt. Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang employs no solicitors. Subscriptions may be received only at authorized newsstands or by direct mail to Robbinsdale. We join in no clubbing offers, nor do we give premiums. $2.50 a year in advance. Edited by a Spanish and World War veteran and dedicated to the fighting forces of the United States. End of introduction.
Section 1 of Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Readers of this little bungle of farmyard foolishness and philosophy may have forgotten a kick out of some of our jabs at the movie colony that hangs out at Hollywood on the Pacific coast near Los Angeles. There are estimated to be about 30,000 people engaged in the motion picture industry in Hollywood and environs. Out of this crew, there are a lot of lame brains, a goodly sprinkling of nincompoops who flaunt their peccadillos with a too apparent wish to have them noticed and press-agented. They wear brass band clothes, ride around in noisy cars, with license tags like Fatty Arbuckle's 606, and live noisy lives. By the very nature of their employment, they are in the public eye, and everything they do comes under the public's microscope. Every move they make is published to the eager world by their zealous press agents. A homebrew party in a bungalow comes forth a Neresque orgy in a mansion, as Wildemar Young put it, and yet, goodness knows, they probably have had of the real kind, and we envy them. However, what are we coming to? Is that the noisy movie people have their prototypes everywhere in society and its numerous substrata, and we for one are not going to make any scavenger's holiday out of the William Desmond Taylor murder mess in Los Angeles. Taylor appears to have been an artist of high caliber, hard-working, earnest, capable, and a gentleman. But he permitted himself to be murdered, and he was a movie director. Consequently, the public immediately put Taylor on trial. They dragged his name through the mud, swishing, swashing. Having put Taylor on trial, it was found that he had taken a stage name, a common thing in the movie and the fight game. But when a man gets murdered, he ought to be more careful. Man of mystery? Dual life? Perhaps yes, and perhaps no. But a lot of bunkum, any way you look at, is imbecilic puerile. That's what we think of the campaign of calumny against the motion picture colony growing out of the Taylor murder. The other day, we read a statement from Frank Mayo, a movie actor, who burst out with this denunciation. The Hollywood film colony is a pernicious influence. Scatter it, abolish it, burn it up, I say. Mayo ought to be ashamed of himself. We might just as sensibly orate Robbinsdale. Burn it up, scatter red pepper in every front yard, and squirt formaldehyde through every keyhole. Somebody tried to rob the Robinsons' bank, and got killed at it. As we have hereinbefore set forth, there are a lot of tramps in Hollywood, just as there are a lot of undesirables in Robbinsdale, in Minneapolis, in Chicago, and there are just as many honest, decent men and women in the picture business as in the ranks of the sanctimonious reformers, even if they do not go around mouthing the scavenger's chant, "I am holier than thou." If Mayo had said, "Run out the undesirables," we might have joined with him in a hearty amen. But it is childish and surely unfair to damn the good with the bad. The mayor of Los Angeles insists that the actresses and actors of Hollywood are fine citizens, good neighbors, and respectable ladies and gentlemen. Adolf Zukor, who is head of the famous players, declares there is no more immorality in Hollywood than in the New York Stock Exchange. Not much of a boast for Hollywood, but a powerful statement just the same. Finally, you find Hobart Bosworth throwing the responsibility squarely in the faces of an audience that listened to him. You think that we of the motion picture world are rotten. Through the confessions of the box office, we know that you, the public, are rotten. Mayo's statement is not true. The man who agrees with him has forgotten that things exist because certain definite forces have brought them into being. And Hollywood, even though rotten to the core, burnt up or scattered, would arise again somewhere else. The mayor of Los Angeles spoke half the truth at least. The motion picture people are folk like all the rest. Bosworth is blind. He is angry when he should be sympathetic, despising when he should be greatly moved by the pathos of the spectacle. If there is weakness in the movie picture colonies, the imperfections are not the result of viciousness and immorality in the public that Bosworth calls rotten. It is the effect of loneliness and frustrated hopes that sends the starved ones to the movies. It is no small thing in each human being, that longing for beauty and the allurements of wealth, love, and triumph. But the sum of all this longing, combined and packed into the streams that flow toward Hollywood, is stupendously powerful. It makes life what it is in the motion pictures, brings out the noise in those who've not had proper advantages, and makes puppets of men and women who ought to be just plain folk, and ruins their lives. But so far as William Desmond Taylor is concerned, we are unable to see that the movies made a puppet out of him. He was in life respected by his associates, a leader, a life respected by his associates, a leader, a man of ideals, and that is why the little old whiz-bang refuses to be stampeded with the gang that is burrowing in the Hollywood garbage can, seeking delicacies of juicy ripe dirt to twist their long tongues around. We've heard the story of the lions and the lionesses, tigers and tigeresses, and bears and bear cubs, but not until we became a guest on board the USS Niagara in Havana Harbor of Lieutenants Parsons and Vega did we really discover the superintelligence of wild animals. The first member of the crew we met was a jovial gob, Jack Sellers, who introduced us to his pride and joy, the mascot, a big black bear. This bear is very intelligent, vouchsafed Sellers. You know, we sailors sleep in hammocks on the decks. In the middle of the night, he sneaks around and steals blankets off the sleeping gobs. He carries the blankets to a secluded spot on the ship and piles them evenly one on top of the other until he gets 40 or 50. He then retires for a comfortable nap on his downy bed. When the gobs are awakened from the chill and find their blankets missing, they immediately search for the broom. Would you believe it? That bear won't let any Jackie take his bedding until he first smells him, and then sniffs at the pile of blankets. When he finds the rightful owner, he pulls out his blanket from the pile and gives it to him. Woof, woof, woof. End of section 1. Section 2 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. A New York poet who knows the yearnings of a demi-virgin's heart gave this verse the title, Naughty but Nice. A plagiarized version of an original poem under that title, which was published in an early issue of the Whiz Bang and the Whiz Bang Winter Annual. The New York Times, in publishing this verse, believes a more fitting title would be, It Can't Be Done. I want to be naughty, but I want to be nice. I don't mind the route, but I don't like the price. I want to do what the other girls do. Tease them and cuddle up and pill and coo. Blacken my eyes and powder my nose. Roll my cigarettes and my hose. Rouge my cheek and pencil my lip. Carry a silver flask on my hip. Tango a little and shimmy a lot. Part my corset when the weather gets hot. Ride and swim and golf and skate. Take the fences instead of the gate. Break all records, yes, all but one. And be good and true when the game is done. I don't like pepper, but I do love spice. I want to be naughty, but I want to be nice. End of section 2. Section 3 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Short Notes. Dear Billy, writes Chris Corrie, a Minneapolis pill pusher. You are always writing jokes about other tradesmen, but nothing about we druggists. Now, you know we all handle the Whiz Bang and are great boosters for it, so please give us a joke about the pill pounders. All right, Chris, here's one, having to do with your recent convention of druggists in Minneapolis. The chairman rapped with his gavel, "You're out of order, sir." "I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman," responded the speaker. "I never felt better in my life." "They have a new way of catching whitefish at Breezy Point in the winter months. The fisherman repairs to the frozen over river with a hammer, a saw, and a can of peas. He cuts a hole in the ice, sprinkles the peas around the edge of the hole, and when the fish comes up to take a bite, he hits him over the head with the hammer. Americans in Cuba, for the most part, are strictly business. I hadn't been in Havana 24 hours until fellow citizens tried to sell me the Melcon, Moricastle, the Armendez, a boneless elephant, some finless fish, fiddler's soup, and a throatless frog. I'll tell you, our brother Americans are great for business. End of Section 3. Section 4 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Humour. The following is a vivacious little conceit entitled Humour, culled from Laura Bennett's Fairy Bread. Thomas Seltzer. A fairy dances in upland pastures, picking tart crab apples, swinging low, twisted and green, elfin mouth lean, his feet may be chained, they are never slow. He slyly peeps under bushes of wonder, hunts for thistles in hedgerow trees, and straight thereafter tickles to laughter solemn asses on bended knees. Where his sharp wits go, occasions grow, the blind sea meadows of waving corn. Men mazed with talking find lost hopes walking, when he conjures roses out of a thorn. Turn him loose, judge. Judge, are you guilty or not guilty? Prisoner, I was going to plead guilty, your honour, but my lawyer has convinced me that I am innocent. The boys in the back room. But will you have? But have you got? We have so nice have and have. You have bat and have fat. Have a 1% dark and have a 1% light. Well, I think I'll have to have a cigar. Maud kicked the bucket, said Gus, as he sadly surveyed the spilt milk. End of Section 4. Section 5 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Sob Stuff. Dear Captain Billy Fairfax, I'm on a visit from the East. Fell in love with a Western girl. For the past 6 months I have been faithful to her. I thought my love was returned and never looked at anyone else. Took her around the country some, and to different places of amusement. Finally, on a beautiful moonlit night, I took her in my arms. Oh my, I can see her now, her beautiful face. Oh, those eyes, those nose, those mouth, those beautiful hair. I kissed her, and she closed her beautiful eyes. She was happy, I thought. Things went on fine, but as I had not been in the town long, I didn't know much of what had been going on. Then, to my sorrow, I found there was another else, a guy with a Super 6 and a tin ear. I was broken-hearted. She had lied, used me for a fool. Then this shy, modest thing I had trusted crushed me by telling others she had never cared for me, and also laughingly told them of my lovesick talk. What do you think of that? For honour and decency. She continues to talk, and my life is a miserable affair. Please advise me what to do, because if my wife ever hears what this girl has to say, she'll raise hell. P. Olson. Iowa Frivol pulls this one. An optimist is a man going up the river with a canoe, a girl, a basket, a blanket, and a couple of pillows. A pessimist is the same man coming back. She was so bow-legged she could wear a pair of parentheses for stockings. The height of ambition. I sure got a fine job since I came out of the army. What's that? Well, you know the fellow that hammers underneath the passenger cars? Well, I help him listen. Ancient stuff. L. What did you give the baby when it was christened? Ella. A silver spoon. L. Was it a good one? Ella. I'll say it was. It had Blackstone Hotel on it. Eckenstein. Your new stenographer is a beaut. Can she spell? Rubenstein. What has that to do with it? Speaking of stingy people, I knew a fellow that had 2 teeth extracted and then wanted the price of his board reduced. End of section 5.
Section 6 of Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Hollywood Flirtations. The following item was written a few days before the tragic death of Mr. Taylor. Miss Normand at this time is reported the last known visitor to Mr. Taylor's apartment before the slaying. Mabel Normand is tripping the light fantastic at the Coconut Grove very often. Sometimes it's William D. Taylor, Lasky director, but we also hear that Max Sennett gave her a wonderful birthday party and many presents. When the girls get Mabel to talk in the seclusion of her own boudoir, the sly gal brings out a little bag just dangling full of nice diamond solitaire engagement rings. When she gets a new one, she gives the bag a toss and giggles. That's how seriously Mabel takes this matrimony stuff. An ironic fact has put May Collins into the very dressing room at the Mayer studio formerly occupied by Mildred Harris. May, you know, has been often reported as engaged to Charlie Chaplin, Mildred's noted ex. Miss Collins, it is said, found a picture of Charlie in a remote drawer of the dresser, wiped off the dust, and stuck it in the mirror for her own perusal. Bebe Daniels' grandmother, her mother, and Jack Dempsey all deny that Bebe and Jack are to wed. Reporters have even interviewed the family cat on the subject, but the news tip has fallen flat all around. And, speaking of Charlie Chaplin, his leading lady, Edna Purviance, who was one of Charlie's early loves as well, is reported engaged to Paul Hunter, wealthy businessman and polo player of Pasadena. Lucille Carlyle again will be leading lady for Larry Semen. She formerly was engaged to marry Semen, but suddenly the engagement was declared off. She left the studio, and nothing had been heard of her for several months. Now it appears that all is again sweetness and light between Miss Carlyle and the comedian. Whiz-bang will soon invade a new territory. We believe that the Laguna Beach and La Jolla artist colonies have been too long neglected in our zeal to disclose those little personal affairs out in Hollywood. While fair and winsome Hollywood nobly tows a few barges of stuff, Whiz-bang's astute investigators have discovered naughty Laguna Beach doing just terrible things and getting away with it because they are 4 hours of muddy automobile road away from any sort of town. La Jolla has this week confirmed some of our suspicions in the bathing suit marriage which took place when Del Carmen and Sarah Andrews plighted their serious troth in the trough of the ocean. Artist-like, they just wanted to be different. Of course, you wouldn't think an artist who paints with a brush could be as lowbrow as those Hollywood actors, but you just ought to be in on some of the parties staged down at sneaky little Laguna Beach. An artist colony, many of them people of national reputation too, resides there permanently in a little world of their own. Judging from several little bohemian affairs visited by Whiz-bang's official chaperone, we would judge that everyone's in love with best friend's wife, and best friend doesn't even care. Sandals and loose sloppy clothes and no haircuts usually travel with freedom of thought. That's why it's hard to believe that some of Hollywood's most athletic, healthiest, best-groomed and best-clothed actors are steeped in sin. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and the Motion Picture Producers Association have just joined forces to combat magazine and newspaper propaganda tending to paint Hollywood as a modern Babylon. Whiz-bang suggests the simple expedient of throwing loads of mud at somebody else, perhaps Laguna or La Jolla, thus diverting the scandal-hungry eyes of the nation away from Hollywood long enough to pull a few more good parties. Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Gerard gave a lovely dinner party in honour of Madame Anna Pavlova, husband and company on their recent visit to Los Angeles. This year's party was drier than the last, but Douglas, we haven't forgotten that party you gave in Anna's honour about 2 years ago. The Wilshire District and Los Angeles Upper 10 gave a smart tea in the afternoon at the residence of a well-known society woman. Everyone in society was there, and poor Anna shook hands and said polite things until her patience was almost at an end. So when Douglas's party was pulled off that evening, 'tis said Anna cut loose, enjoyed a lot of naughty stories, and vowed she preferred bohemians. You know, Douglas can tell 'em too. It was only 2 weeks ago that we thought we saw Mabel Normand dancing at the Coconut Grove with F. Richard Jones, chief director under Max Sennett, but Mabel bawled out a mourning sheet for insinuating such a thing, so maybe it isn't true. Anyhow, Mrs. F. Richard has just filed suit for divorce. She asks $1,000 a month alimony, claiming hubby earns $100,000 a year. Mutual jealousy seems to have caused the breakup. Billy Rhodes, comedy star of Picturedom, has filed a divorce action against William Jobelman, a theatre publicity man. She charges he drank, even stealing a bottle from her own private stock to appease his desire. This, says Billy, capped the climax, and she asks her freedom. Mrs. Thelma Morgan Gertz, pretty English actress, has just divorced Ronald Gertz, formerly a captain in the English Army. They are both members of Hollywood's film colony. He made a wonderful lover, complained the wife, but not a good husband. He wanted his fling. He craved variety. Paramount opened its Wilshire District studio just recently. Was it for this reason that the Los Angeles Police Department found it necessary to open a Wilshire station the same day? When a woman puckers up her lips to be kissed, she is just setting her trap. Man is somewhat like a sausage, very smooth upon the skin, but you never can tell exactly how much hog there is within. Youth must have its fling, said the Scotchman, as he started his bagpipe working. End of section 6.
Section 7 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Torch's Best One. She, to Fair Friend. I'm not going with Bill any more. Fair Friend. Why not? She, he knows too many naughty songs. Fair Friend. Does he sing them? She. No, but he's always whistling them. Song of the Tire Chain. Wee, wee, wee. Clop, clop, clop. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Twat, twat, twat. Girls may smoke. However, the correct way to light a match still remains a man's privilege. In Valparaiso. Why so sad, Diogenes? I was going up College Avenue, looking for an honest man, and, alas, someone stole my lantern. That pianist sure claws a mean batch of ivories. Yeah, he sure beats a nasty can. Now do be sure you come and see us soon, won't you? Yes, we will. We'll call on you the first time we go slumming. Soliloquy of a Hooch-hound. When my soul becomes clogged with evil deeds, my mind and conscience inundated with hideous hallucinations, and my heart dry and acrid with the pain of living, I imbue my soul, my heart, my mind with king alcohol. Then, as the morning breeze dissipates the fog, the kindly king cleanses my soul. As the sun dries and purifies the stagnant swamp, so alcohol transforms the morass of my mind into a verdant meadow. As the spring rains change the desolation of winter into flowers and grain, so my lord and master changes the cynical, skeptical desert of my heart into an oasis of compassion and philanthropy. That's why I drink. End of section 7. Section 8 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. The Difference. Percival chews spearmint, John Virginia twist, Percy shakes a wicked hoof, and John a wicked fist. Special for the clergy. Father, explained the visitor to the priest, I asked penance for the sin of bootlegging. Father Kelly was puzzled and telephoned the superior father for advice. What shall I give a bootlegger, very reverend sir? The priest inquired. Don't give him more than $5, came the answer. That's all I ever pay. London Post Toastie. Oh, what a naughty little boy, cried the kind lady, to beat and kick your poor mother like that. Take no notice of the child at all, responded the proud mother. Bless his little heart. He must do everything he sees his father do. Bones to bones and skin to skin, ain't it heck when a fella's thin? Lodge notice. The Bootleggers Benevolent Association of America meets every Thursday night at Wood Alcohol. At our next meeting, the following officials will be installed. F.U. Selloil, High Muckamuck of the Mash. I. Rob Sellers, Bearer of the Boot. Formaldehyde, Lord of the Leg. R. Otgut, Liquor of the Labels and Seals. A special lecture on making moonshine with the materials at hand will be given with Professor Ray Sin at the still. Spring sports. Standing in the barnyard and watching the cows come in. End of Section 8. Section 9 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Questions and Answers. Dear Captain Billy, I am a young man, 15 years old, and I am going with two girls, one 14 and the other 27. Do you think it possible to love both of them at the same time? Willie Bowie. No, Willie, not if they know it. Dear Captain Bill, when the silverware for your meal consists of more than 3 pieces, which side do you start on? The right or left? Conic Essen. Start at either side, Conic, but be sure to have 1 piece left for the dessert. Dear Captain Bill, of late I have been having trouble with my lungs, and thought perhaps you could suggest a remedy. 8 o'clock. Dear Ada, merely open a window and throw out your chest. Dear Captain Billy, please give us the definition of booster, also knocker. Icing yet too. A booster is a man with something to sell, and a knocker is one who bought some of it. Dear Captain Billy, what is the difference between a dance and a dance? Iowa Bill. The difference between a dance and a dance is $1.50 and 3 fights. Dear Captain Billy, what is a goblet? Frankfurter. A small sailor. Dear Captain Bill, my little boy has worms. What would you suggest? Alvy. Feed him fish. Fish like worms. Dear Captain Billy, Percy, my 16-year-old son, says his greatest ambition is to sing tenor in a glee club. What shall I do? Worrit Mama. The case is hopeless. You never should have named him Percy. Dear Dr. Bill, One night at a party, I met a fellow and he had to escort me home. When we got to a dark place, he pushed me into a mud puddle and ran. Do you think he loves me? Sis Hopkins. There can be no question of it. Dear Captain Whiz Bang, I very much enjoy hunting, but I also believe in the protection of wild animal life. What shall I do? Daniel Boone of Kokomo. Always use blank cartridges. Dear Captain Billy, since I enrolled at the university, I have heard the girls talking about dates. Tell me what a date is and how to acquire them. Iowa girl. Dates grow in Palestine, Arabia, and other Oriental countries. They also flourish on the walls of telephone booths and in pool halls. Send me your picture and you will hear from me soon. Or I will return the picture. Dear Captain Billy, can you recommend a stiff drink? Bill Elting. Embalming fluid. Dear Captain Billy, what is your ideal of an ideal job? Abby Friedman. Pork Inspector for the City of Jerusalem. Dear Captain Billy, what fish does a girl like most? A. John. Her ring. Dear Captain Billy, do you believe in reincarnation? Havana Ege. Can't say as I do. However, should I ever be reincarnated, my hopes are to be either a colored man or a Hebrew. A colored man, you know, doesn't want anything much, and a Hebrew usually has all he wants. They called me the Baby Fishhooks. It was such a catchy name. End of Section 9.
Section 10 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W.H. Fawcett. The Ace of Tragedies, Toole's Best One, and Short Quips. The Ace of Tragedies. It was in the spring of 1896, related the grizzled veteran of the Yarn Stretchers Club, according to the London Post, that I was out in the Wild West. I was on a jury that was trying a man for homicide. I hated to think of the fellow being hanged, so I stuck out against the other 11 jurymen for 5 solid days and nights. My obstinacy was rewarded. One by one they gave in, and we returned into the court, and returned a verdict of not guilty. The only thing that spoiled my satisfaction with the results was that some of the citizens had lynched the prisoner the first day we were locked up. And he sighed reminiscently as he took another gulp of his whiskey and soda. Toole's Best One. A small boy, handing grocer 2 cents. I want 2 cents worth of bananas. We have no bananas, said the grocer, not wanting to monkey with the 2 cents. What's them? Said the boy, pointing to a bunch of bananas. Pineapples, the grocer replied. Well, give me 2 cents worth of pineapples. Southern hospitality. Does you all like your entertainment, wit or without? Walking with a purpose. I love to walk. Last Sunday, I took the most wonderful stroll. I went for quite some distance through the park, thoroughly enjoying every breath of the cool, crisp air. I felt like a new man as I hastened onward, increasing my speed at every step. I walked on and on, drinking in the beauty of all about me. It was wonderful. Finally, I picked her up. Coffin Nail Epitaph. Here lies my good friend, Willie Betts. His age was 10. Cigarettes. Our monthly proverb, a stitch in time gathers no moss. In the vernacular of the Bowery, de oily bode catches de warm. A warning to flappers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good girlies go to heaven. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All bad girlies don't. Our latest song hit. A cat has 9 lives, but a bullfrog croaks every night. End of section 10, read by Jordan Wolfe, Beacon, New York, October 2025. Section 11 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W.H. Fawcett. Our Chestnut Rack and Short Quips. Our Chestnut Rack. 2 Irishmen held up a Scotchman, who had put up a terrific battle, but finally was overcome. After the 2 Irishmen had gotten Sandy's pocketbook, which was tied up with a stout string, they ran away. Unwinding the string and poking his fingers into the corners of the thing, Pat finally located a solitary 5-cent piece. Looking at it a moment in silence, he turned to his companion and said, "My gosh, Mike, suppose he'd had a dime. He would have killed us both." Here's to the good old seagull that cleans up Frisco's Bay. With a tummy full of sardines, he flies to San Jose. Tamale of Havana. Mia mamacita, she's una grande fool. She makes me hot tamale, then sets it out to cool. Our monthly motto. A girl in your arms is worth 2 on the phone. Did you hear the joke about the spoiled mulligan? No. Stew bad. Stew bad. Motorcycle Mike. Mike and Pat went motorcycle riding one evening. All of a sudden, they had a collision. 2 hours later, Pat recovered consciousness in a hospital and learned that Mike had been killed. "He should have been dead long ago," remarked Pat wryly, as he saw 2 bright lights ahead of him, and the dang fool said to me, "Watch me sneak through there." At Havana races. The old sport stood on a grandstand chair. There was muck in his whiskers and coots in his hair, but his voice rang out in the afternoon air, "She'll win in a walk, bejabbers. She's from blue-blooded stock, can't go slow, out of Black Bess by Hungry Joe. Their money's on her, those who know, for she'll win in a walk, bejabbers." She got off behind, at the turn, was third, worked up a second, then slipped like a bird, fell in a ditch when hit by the switch, and she wasn't in it, bejabbers. Pardon me. I beg your pardon, cried the convict as the governor passed his cell. I wish I was the warden's daughter. How come? There's always men hanging around. My wife's tongue is so long, she doesn't have to use a towel to wash her face. End of section 11. Read by Jordan Wolfe, Beacon, New York, October 2025. Section 12 of Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz-Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W.H. Fawcett. The Traveling Man and Short Quips. The Traveling Man. I register most any old hotel, some bug cage, fire trap with glue plant smell. In darkened hall, I seek the number on the door and find the bed, a sea of tumbled rags, used many nights before, and often I must lend my aid to drowsy hookworm chambermaid, who spreads and shakes and smooths and tucks and toils and sweats to make it well. Then I jump in and tear it all to hell. They were always happy until a stranger wrecked their lives. For she went back to the laundry, and he went back to his wife. Song of Newlywed. I must go home tonight. Oh, I must go home tonight. I don't care if it's snowing, blowing, I'm going. I got married only this morning, and it fills me with delight. I'll stay out as long as you want next week, but I must go home tonight. For verily, he that sitteth upon a toadstool shall arise again. Might as well hitch my wagon to a star, said the drunken teamster, as he passed his rope around the lamp-post. What is all the noise about? The barber is shaving himself, but why the argument? Is he trying to talk himself into having a massage? Blank verse. He had worked 6 months in a shipyard and was worried for the fear that they would hurt the baby. The day of the baptism, when they hit him over the head with a bottle. He went into the church the first time, and they threw water on him. The second trip, they threw rice on him. The third time was the charm. They threw dirt on him. Back porch crossfire. Fire, fire, said Mrs. McGuire. Where, said Mrs. Blair. Downtown, said Mrs. Brown. Help us and save us, said Mrs. Davis. The penalty. Between women and wine, a man is not so smart, for wine makes his head ache, and women his heart. I never looked up my family tree, but I know that I'm the sap. 'Twas sweet of her. Sweetheart, gushed his bride. The grocery stores were all closed today, and I suppose I don't get any dinner, he cut in, eyeing his true love hungrily. No, my darling, she gurgled. The confectionery was open, and I've made you some nourishing jelly bean soup. In the army. He missed on 4, crapped out on 6, put in his own dice, and hit 20 licks. Went to a fair the other evening for the benefit of the church and took chances on everything, but did not win a prize. About 12 o'clock, as I was leaving, a friend told me to stick around, and I did for an hour and 1 o'clock. Wild Guy. Clarence is a devilish boy. He loves his sarsaparilla. He drank 2 bottles yesterday, then smashed his umbrella. Boo-hoo Bluey. She. When I die, you'll never find another woman like me. He. Well, you can take it from me. I'm not going to try. End of section 12. Read by Jordan Wolfe, Beacon, New York, October 2025. Section 13 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W.H. Fawcett. Whiz Bang Editorials. The bull is mightier than the bullet. When we were a soaky-nosed kid in Grand Forks, North Dakota, our teacher taught us a poem headed Abu Ben Adam, which went something like this: Then count me among those who love his fellow men. It appears that old Abu Ben Adam hadn't been listed among those in the Angel's Book of Gold, having a sure ticket through St. Peter's gates, and for that reason the old fellow merely wanted to be charted among the dead game sports, who were square to their fellows, who judged not that they be not judged, that being pure, to them all things were pure. The Abu Ben Adam legend concluded by the angel making a return the next night and listing this old-time legendary sport on page 1 of the Book of Gold. Riley Grennan, who died in April 1908 at Rawhide, Nevada, was one of these dead game sports. And while we can't all be angels and see through the eyes of Billy Sunday or Dr. Crafts and lead the ordained exemplary life, we can take a tip from the life of Riley Grennan and be dead game sports, no matter what path in life we follow. Although it has been 14 years since he passed into the great beyond, his kindly deeds and noble character centralizes conversation on the Havana racetrack and at all other turf gatherings. Just a few brief explanatory remarks before we publish from an old issue of a Nevada newspaper the story of Grannan's burial. This dead game sport was a famous racetrack plunger, and his bets ran as high as $200,000 on a single race. And the following is respectfully dedicated to the gang, that bunch of carefree fellows who follow the lure of the turf. Riley Grennan was one of them in life, and no greater tribute could be paid him than that found in the desire of the gang that these, the last words spoken over his beer, should be preserved. None can read them without gleaning some inspiration, for they cannot fail to strike a harmonious chord among the heartstrings of the coldest soul, as chronicled by Jean C. Granger. Rawhide, Nevada, April 15, 1908. Half shielded under an oilcloth blanket, lodged in a common express wagon, the casket of Riley Grennan was carried recently down dusty Rawhide Avenue, and along Nevada Street, from the tented establishment of the camp's undertaker to an improvised memorial chapel, a variety theater at the rear of a saloon. There congregated a throng in silks and corduroys, women of metropolitan costumes, miners covered with high-grade grime, prospectors suntanned, brokers, bankers, merchants, promoters, owners of saloons, bartenders, gamblers, rounders. Tears that were shed dropped from the eyes of all. Again, as always in mining camps, class forgotten, all men were equal. A solemn hush came down upon the little playhouse, where last night and tonight jostling crowds drank and smoked while listening to doubtful wit from the coarse jesters, men and women, on a variety forum. Hovered about the bier of Riley Grennan, racetrack plunger of national renown, was as solemn a group of sincere mourners as ever gathered to pay final tribute. Solos were offered by Mrs. Hendricks, once an actress of wide fame, now wife of the editor of a rawhide daily paper, and by Jack Bynes, miner of Alaska, and leaser of rawhide. Punctuations came with resounding blasts from a score of mines on the mountains just above. Saloons were closed and the streets were silent throughout the service. At its end, a solemn cortege trudged with the remains, destined by automobile to travel 30 miles to Schultz, there to go aboard the cars to Riley's brother in Kentucky. Unique beyond experience and dramatic beyond compare was the eulogy pronounced by H.W. Knickerbocker, once a clergyman, then a mine operator of Goldfield, later a rawhide pioneer. Hardly orthodox, but wholly in keeping with the scene and the mute desires of the dead, was the orator's appearance. The once pulpit exponent stood beside the lily-laden bier, his eyes bedimmed with tears, his voice choked with a fraternal emotion. He was shod in high boots and clothed in rough garb of a miner. A stenographic report of the eulogy follows. I feel that it is incumbent upon me to state that I now occupy no ministerial or prelatic position. I am only a prospector. I make no claims or moral merit whatever or to religious authority except it be the religion of the brotherhood of man. I wish to be taken only as a man among men, feeling that I can shake hands and style as my brother the most humble of you all. If there may come from me a word of moral admonition, it springs not from a sense of moral superiority, only from the depths of my experience. Riley Grennan was born at Paris, Kentucky, about 40 years ago. He cherished all the dreams of boyhood. Those dreams found their fruition in phenomenal success financial. I'm told that from the position of a bellboy in a hotel, he arose to be a celebrity of the worldwide fame. Riley Grennan was one of the greatest plungers the continent has ever produced. He died day before yesterday at Rawhide. That is a brief statement. We have his birth and the day of his demise. Who can fill the interim? Not I. Who can tell his hopes and fears? Who knows the mystery of his quiet hours? Not I. Riley Grennan was born in the sunny southland of Kentucky. He died in Rawhide. That is the beginning. That is the end. Is there, in this picture of what Ingersoll said at the grave of his brother, whether it be near the shore, or in mid-ocean, or among the breakers, at the last a rock must mark the end of one and all. Born where brooks and rivers run musically through prolific soil, where magnolia gladiflora, like white stars, glow in a firmament of green, where lakes, the greenwards, and the softest summer breezes dimple the wavelets, where the air is resonant with the melody of 1,000 sweet-voiced birds, and redolent of perfume of blooming flowers. That was the beginning. Riley Grennan died in Rawhide, where in winter the tops of the mountains are clothed in garments of ice, and in summer the blistering rays of the sun beat down upon the skeleton of the desert. Is there in this a picture of universal life? Sometimes, when I look upon the circumstances of life, there comes to my lips a curse. I relate to you only my views. If these run counter to yours, believe that what I say is sincere. When I see the ambitions of man defeated, when I see him struggling with mind and body to accomplish his end, when I see his aim and purpose frustrated only by a fortuitous combination of circumstances over which he can exert no control, when I see his outstretched hands about to grasp the flag of victory and to seize instead the emblem of defeat, I ask, what is life? Dreams, awakening, death. Life is a pendulum betwixt a smile and a fear. Life is but a momentary halt within the waste, and then the nothing we set out from. Life is a shadow, a poor player that struts and then is heard no more. Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound, signifying nothing. Life is a child-blown bubble that but reflects the shadow of its environment and is gone, a mockery, a sham, a lie, a fool's vision, its happiness but Dead Sea apples, its pain the crunching of a tyrant's heel. Omar says it better when he says, "We are but a moving row of magic shadow shapes that come and go around with a sunny, lumined lantern, held in midnight for the master of the shore, but helpless pieces of the game we play on the checkerboard of night and day, hither and thither, moved or checks, or slaves, and one by one back into the closet laid. The ball, no question, makes of eyes or nose, but here or there, as strikes the player goes. But he that tossed you down into the field, he knows, he knows, he knows, but I don't. That's my mood. Not so with Riley Grennan. If I have gauged his character correctly, he accepted the circumstances surrounding him as the mystic officials to whom the universe had delegated its whole office concerning him. He took defeat and victory with equal equanimity. He was a man of placid exterior. His meteoric past shows him invincible in spirit, and it is not irreverently that I proclaim him a dead game sport. When I use that phrase, I do so filling it as full of practical human philosophy as it will hold. Riley Grennan fully exemplified the philosophy of those fugitive verses. It is easy enough to be happy when life goes along like a song, but the man worthwhile is the man who will smile when everything goes wrong. For the test of the heart is trouble, and it always comes with the years, and the smile that is worth the homage of each is the smile that shines through tears. There are those who will condemn him. They believe that today he is reaping the reward of misspent life. There are those who are dominated by medieval creeds. Them I am not addressing. They are ruled by the skeleton hand of the past. They fail to see the moral side of a character lived outside their puritanical ideas. Riley Grennan's goodness was not of a type that reached its highest manifestation in ceremonious piety. It found its expression in the hand clasp of friendship. It found its voice in the word of cheer to a discouraged brother. His were deeds of quiet charity. His were acts of manhood. Riley Grennan lived in the world of sport. My words are not minced because I am telling what I believe to be true. It was the world of sport, sometimes of hilarity, sometimes worse. He left the impress of his character upon us all, and through the medium of his financial power, he was able, with his money, to brighten the lives of all who knew him. He wasted his money, so the world says, but did it ever occur to you that the men and women of such class upon whom he wasted it are yet men and women? A little happiness brought into their lives means as much to them as happiness carried into the lives of the straight and the good. If you can take one ray of sunshine into the night life and thereby carry a single hour of happiness, you are a benefactor. Riley Grennan did this. God confined not his sunbeams to the nourishing of potatoes and corn. His scattering of sunshine was prodigal. Contemplate. He flings the auroral beauties round the cold shoulders of the north. He hangs the quivering picture of the mirage above the palpitating heart of the desert. He scatters the sunbeams like shattered gold upon the bosom of a myriad of lakes that gem the robe of nature. He spangles the canopy of night with star jewels and silvers the world with the reflected beams from on high. He hangs the gorgeous crimson curtain of the Occident across the sleeping room of the sun. God wakes the coy maid of the morning to step timidly from her boudoir of darkness, to climb the steep of the Orient, to fling wide the gates of morning, and to trip o'er the landscape. Kidding the flowers in her flight, she arouses the world to herald with their music the coming of her king, who floods the world with effulgent gold. These are wasted sunbeams, are they? I say to you that the man or woman who by the use of money or power is able to smooth one wrinkle from the brow of human care, or to change one moan or sob into a song, or to wipe away a tear, and to place in its stead a jewel of joy, is a public benefactor. Such was Riley Grennan. The time has come to say goodbye. For the friends and loved ones not here to say the word, let me say goodbye, old man. We will try to exemplify the spirit of your life as we bear the grief at our parting. Words fail me here. Let those flowers, Riley, with their petaled lips and perfumed breath, speak in beauty and fragrance these sentiments, too tender for words. Goodbye. End of section 13, read by Jordan Wolfe, Beacon, New York, October 2025.
Section 14 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. short quips. Something wrong. Little Willie. Ma, is Pop taking you out to dinner tonight? Mother. Yes. Then to the theatre. Little Willie. What's the matter? Help! Help! Burglars! Burglars! Cried Jones, sticking his head out of the window and yelling like mad. What's the row, mister? Asked a passer-by. For heaven's sake, friend, send a burglar here. There's a policeman in my cellar. Speaking of colours, my nose is red. Only when I blow it, then it's blue. My dear man, said the kind lady, don't you know that whiskey kills more men than bullets? I don't dispute your word one bit, the tramp replied. But for my part, I would rather be full of moonshine than bullets any day. She said thusly, manslaughter me with kisses, daddy, then crucify me with love. Let us now sing that plaintive melody in 3 keys, Icky, Jakey, and Whiskey. The last key is where you get the spirit of the song. Beautiful optics. Her eyes were as black as jet, this charming girl I knew. I kissed her and her husband came, now mine are jet black too. George Washington washed the country, and the reformers dried it. Do you like Shakespearean roles? Our baker never handles them. They told me my flivver was 20 horsepower, but I've only been able to locate 4 plugs. End of section 14.
Section 15 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W.H. Fawcett, Smokehouse Poetry. In one of our first issues, Whiz Bang published Ostler Joe, but our circulation was comparatively small at that time, and as a result, many who sought the poem were disappointed. Many requests for it, coupled with our inability to supply back copies, will bring the poem back to these pages next month. Ostler Joe was originally published under the name of Friend's Husband and is a story of a broken home. Absolution by E. Nesbit. 3 months had passed since she had knelt before the grate of the confessional, and he, the priest, had wondered why she came no more, to tell her sinless sins, the vanity, whose valid reason graced her simple dress, the prayers forgotten, or the untold beads, the little thoughtless words, the slightest misdeeds, which made the sum of her unrighteousness. She was the fairest maiden in his fold, with her sweet mouth and musical, pure voice, her deep gray eyes, her hair's tempestuous gold, her happy laugh, her wild, unconscious grace, her gentle ways to old, or sick, or sad, the comprehending sympathy she had made her the idol of the place. And when she grew so silent and so sad, so thin and quiet, pale and hollow-eyed, and cared no more to laugh and to be glad with the other maidens by the waterside. All wondered, kindly grieved the elders were, and some few girls went whispering about, "She loves, who is it? Let us find it out." but never dared to speak of it to her. But the priest's duty bade him seek her out and say, "My child, why dost thou sit part? Hast thou some grief? Hast thou some secret doubt? Come and unfold to me thine inmost heart. God's absolution can assuage all grief, and all remorse, and woe beneath the sun. Whatever thou hast said, or thought, or done, the Holy Church can give thy soul relief." He stood beside her, young and strong, and swayed with pity for the sorrow in her eyes, which as she raised them to his own conveyed into his soul a sort of sad surprise. She answered, "I will come." And so at last, out of the summer evening's crimson glow, with heart reluctant and with footsteps slow, into the cool, great, empty church she passed. By my own fault, my own grievous fault, I cannot say, for it is not, she said, kneeling within the gray stone chapel's vault, and on the ledge her golden hair was spread. Love broke upon me in a dream. It came without beginning, for to me it seemed that never otherwise than as I dreamed. Through all my life this thing had been the same. I only knew my heart, entire, complete, was given to my other self, my love, that I through all the world would gladly move, so I might follow his adorned feet. I dreamed I had all earth, all time, all space, and every blessing, human and divine, but hated the possessions that were mine, and only cared for his beloved face. I never knew I loved him till that dream drew from my eyes the veil and left me wise. What I had thought was reverence grew to seem only my lifelong love in thin disguise, and in my dream it looked so sinless too, so beautiful, harmonious, and right. The vision faded with the morning light. The love will last as long as I shall do. Child, have you prayed against it? Have I prayed? Have I not clogged my very soul with prayer? Stopped up my ears with sound of praying? Made my very body faint with kneeling there before the sculpted Christ, and for all this, that when my lips can pray no more and sleep shuts my unwilling eyes, my love will leap to dreamland's bounds to meet me with his kiss. Avoid him? I in dewy garden walk. How often have I strayed, avoiding him, and heard his voice mix with the common talk, yet never turned his way. My eyes grow dim with weeping over what I lose by day, and find by night, yet never have to call my own. O God, is there no help at all? No hope, no chance, and no escapeful way? And who is he to whom thy love is given? What? Holy Church demands to know his name? No rest for me on earth, no hope of heaven, unless I tell it? Ah, for very shame. I cannot, yet why not? I will. I can. I have grown mad with brooding on my curse. Here, take the name. No better and no worse. My case will be, Father, thou art the man. An icy shock shivered through all his frame, an overwhelming cold astonishment. But on the instant, the revolution came. His blood felt what her revelation meant. Lord Christ, his soul cried, while his heart beat fast, give strength in this, my hour of utmost need. And with the prayer, strength came to him indeed. And with calm voice, he answered her at last, Child, go in peace. Wrestle and watch and pray, and I will spend this night in prayer for thee, that God will take thy strange, great grief away. Thou hast confessed thy sin. Absolvo te. Silence most absolute, and a little while, then passed the whisper of her trailing gown over the knee-worn stones, and soft died down the dim, deserted, incense-memorialized aisle. All night he lay upon the chancel floor, and coined his heart in tears and prayers, and new strange longings that he had never known before. Her very memory so thrilled him through, he lay so tempest-tossed. 'Twas still without, and moaned, O God, I love her so. Oh, for one spark of heaven's fire to show, some way to cast this devil's passion out. Christ, by thy passion, by thy death for men, oh, save me from myself, save her from me. And at the word, the moon came out again from her cloud palace, and threw suddenly a shadow from the great cross overhead upon the priest, and with it came a sense of strength renewed, of perfect confidence in him who on that cross for men hung dead. But as the ghostly moon began to fade, and moonlight glimmered into the ghostlier dawn, the shadow of the crucifix had made, with twilight mixed, and with it seemed withdrawn, the peace that with its shadowy shape began, and as the dim east brightened, slowly ceased the wild devotion that had filled the priest, and with full sunlight he sprang up, a man. He strode straight down the church and passed along the grave-set garden's dewy, grass-grown slope. The woods about were musical with song. The world was bright with youth, and love and hope. Soon he would see her cry, I'm thy own, as thou art mine now, and forevermore. And at her worshipped feet would kneel before, and she should kiss the lips that had not known the kiss of love in any vanished year. And as he dreamed of his secured delight, a morning ban, and in their midst a bier, round the curved road, came slowly into sight. He hastened to pass on. A covering fold veiled the dead, quiet face, and yet, did he not know that hand, so white and wet? Did he not know those dripping curls of gold? We came to you to know what we should do, Father. We found her body in the stream, and how it happened, God knows. One other knew that of him had been her last wild dream, knew the full reason of that life disdain, knew how the shame of hopeless love confessed and unreturned had seemed to stain her breast, till only death should make her clean again. They left her in the church where sunbeams bright gilded the wreathed oak and carven stone with golden floods of consecrating light. And here at last, together and alone, the lovers met and here upon her hair he set his lips, and dry-eyed kissed her face. And in the stillness of the holy place he spoke in tones of bitter, blank despair. Oh, lips so quiet, eyes that will not see. Oh, clinging hands that not again will cling. This last poor sin may well be pardoned thee, since for the right's sake thou hast done this thing. Oh, poor weak heart, forever laid to rest, that could no longer strive against its face. For thee, high heaven, will unbar its gate, and thou shalt enter in, and shalt be blessed. The chances were the same for us, he said. Yet thou is won, and I have lost the whole. Thou wouldst not live in sin, and thou art dead. But I against thee, I have weighed my soul, and, losing thee, have lost my soul as well. I have cursed God and trampled on his cross. Earth has no measurement for all my loss, but I shall learn to measure it in hell. Do it now. If with pleasure you are viewing any work a man is doing, if you like him or you love him, tell him now. Don't withhold your approbation till the parson makes oration, and he lies with snowy lilies o'er his brow. For no matter how you shout it, he won't really care about it. He won't know how many teardrops you have shed. If you think some praise is due him, now's the time to slip it to him, for he cannot read his tombstone when he's dead. More than fame and more than money is the comment kind and sunny, the hearty, warm approval of a friend, for it gives to life a savor, and it makes you stronger, braver, and it gives you heart and spirit to the end. If he earns your praise, bestow it. If you like him, let him know it. Let the words of true encouragement be said. Do not wait till life is over and he's underneath the clover, for he cannot read his tombstone when he's dead. Veil mordum, perid vitam. This farewell message in verse was left by Dr. Summers of St. Louis, who took his own life at the Physicians and Surgeons College, by Dr. Osmond Summers. Good night, old world. Goodbye to all your joys, your sorrows, pleasures, passions, pomp and noise. I leave you now for the eternal silence of the stars, the deafness of unbound space, where bars no longer hold the soul endurance vile, where naught can wound and nothing can defile, where the pure spirit shall despise the things the sense on earth hath loved on wings. Bathed in the ether of eternity, how sweet to feel from every passion free! And yet it is an awful leap to take into the great unknown, perchance to wake to greater woes indeed than we have and hoped to bury in the silent grave. But still, the great majority is there, or tremble when the hour supreme has come. The grave at least gives rest from trouble here, and may we hope for sweet oblivion there. When Sharon come, I signal thee tonight, come, Roll me over the sticks. I've lost the fight. If a thing is worth having, it's worth fighting for. On that principle, the institution of marriage is founded. End of section 15. Read by Jordan Wolfe. Beacon, New York, December 2025.
Section 16 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Aaron Zimmerman, Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. By W.H. Fawcett, Knickerbocker Spice. New York is so dull in comparison with the Hollywood film colony, with its mad quest for joy at any cost, that we are rather ashamed to present the more or less dull events of the month. The once so gay film parties, alas, are very circumspect these days, although a recent one nearly resulted in newspaper headlines. It seems that the affair was given in honor of a star on a visit from the coast. Said star's younger brother brought along a feminine friend who imbibed the stuff that Mr. Volstead thought he had absolutely prohibited. Probably it wasn't exactly the stuff, for the lady became violently ill. With memories of the Arbuckle episode before them, the guests hastily departed. The visitor recovered, but the party was as ruined as the heroine in the old-time melodrama. Most of the screen players seem to be planning to go abroad. Nobody can tell exactly when one's letters or telegrams or something may be unearthed after some quiet little informal murder in Hollywood. Here, we might add that the vogue for monogrammed nighties has completely disappeared. We can't exactly blame anyone for going, not when we hear of the giddy, carefree life on the other side. If you have the necessary wherewithal. For instance, a chap just back from Paris told me the other day of the Belle de Cazza, the annual student art revel of the Latin Quarter. Tickets are hard to get, for the real quarter inhabitants decline to let it develop into a sightseeing affair. However, a friend secured the tickets, and the two chaps invited a duo of pretty little models to the studios. Everyone was supposed to go in Carthaginian costume, whatever that is. The American secured attire claimed by the renters to be strictly 100% Carthaginian. And then they went around after the models. Mimi and Fleurette were waiting when they drew up in one of those queer Paris taxis, and Mimi and Fleurette were attired in conventional cloaks. Dainty little slippers gleamed from beneath. The Americans had been wondering what a feminine Carthaginian costume would be, and they were disappointed momentarily. Mimi and Fleurette expressed hunger on reaching the hall, and the Americans gallantly preferred a supper invitation. Imagine their surprise when Mimi and Fleurette tossed aside their cloaks and revealed that their costumes were simple golden belts. Nor were the feminine costumes of other young women in and about the two models any more elaborate. Later, at the ball itself, the Americans found reproductions of famous statuary groups posed by living models, the elect of the studios. It goes without saying that the statuary later came to life and danced with the others all night. The ball concluded with a beauty contest. And it was a real beauty contest, for there were none of the advantages or camouflages provided by the modiste. Not even a beaded eyelash was permitted as a costume, my friend tells me. The festivities concluded when everyone went out on the boulevard and plunged into a nearby fountain. After that, the Carthaginians retired to their studios and garrets. A pleasant time was had by all. Yes, Paris has its attractions. Ruby de Reamer, the famous screen beauty, has just returned from that piquant village with trunks and trunks of black negligee, the latest vogue in France. You should have viewed those gleaming black robes de nuit. Another tale we hear is of a lavish and decorative nest belonging to a well-known manager and located beneath his theater in New York. The place is beautifully furnished with treasures from the continent and Asia. Divans of fabulous value adorn the place. So do incense burners from the Far East, tapestries that date back to the Middle Ages, and jeweled keepsakes that may have belonged to Rajas. Back of the place is a modern kitchen, where suppers are prepared for managers' guests. It is all very atmospheric, but words fail us. We leave you to draw your own picture. Soft music, soft divans, soft viands. Then there's Erich von Stroheim's million-dollar movie, Foolish Wives, for instance. This has been a picture after the censor's own heart. The hero is a degenerate Russian count who drinks perfume, lives with two pretty adventuresses, ruins a serving maid, tries to capture an American ambassador's wife, and is only prevented by a fire, and ends by being killed when he climbs into the bedroom of a half-witted peasant girl. The ambassador's wife, by the way, leaps from the balcony to escape the fire and has the first premature baby ever noted in the films. You can imagine how the censors tackled this material. The baby must have puzzled them. They apparently are found on the back porch or somewhere. The censors didn't seem to know what to do about it, for the premature child was shown at the film premiere. Later, it disappeared. The producers themselves cut some 200,000 feet out of von Stroheim's original negative to get the story down to these ornate essentials. It is said that someone has offered the producers $50,000 for the cut-out portions, with a view towards showing them in sections of Europe and South America where the cinema flickers can't be too strong for 'em. The theatrical events have not been at all intriguing. The stage year, which started with such a sprightly trend that police intervention not only seemed likely, but actually occurred, has petered out to a mild termination. Even a reformer wouldn't be horrified at anything among the late events, at least not much. Of course, there's Lillian Lorraine's return, after we had read columns and columns about her paralysis from an injured or broken spine. In The Blue Kitten, Lillian wears costumes that reveal her spinal column to be in fine form to the last vertebrae. End of section 16.
Section 17 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Short Quips and Stories, Part 1. A problem in figures. Some girls are naughty. Other girls are not. I'm not the soda jerker in this drugstore, madam. I'm the head bartender. I dreamed I proposed to a beautiful girl. Dizzy blonde. What did I say? John D's art. Have you an oil painting of John D. Rockefeller? No, ma'am, no one has. He has never been done in oil. Aye, there's the rub. It isn't the can that annoys the dog. It's the fact that it's tied to his tail. It isn't the troubles that make life hard. It's the number of them that you fail. It isn't the time you waste on her, nor the thriftless gold you spend, but the cold and unrelenting kick Dad hands you in the end. Waiter, growled the customer, I should like to know the meaning of this. Yesterday I was served with a portion of pudding twice the size of this. Indeed, sir, replied the waiter. Where did you sit? By the window, answered the customer. Oh, that explains it, said the waiter. We always give people at the window a large helping. It's a good advertisement. College humor. He, trying to make conversation. Have you many fast friends? She, indignantly. Sir, I'm not that kind of a girl. Purple cow's best one. Cleo. When Bill danced with me last night, he kept letting his hand slip down my back. Patricia. I hope you rebuked him. Cleo. I did. I told him to keep it up. Liza, what for yo buy that other box of shoe blacking? Go on, nigger. That ain't shoe blacking. That's my massage cream. Flamingo, Denison University. There's a cat in our home, and it is wondrous fat. It don't have any kittens, 'cause it ain't that kind of cat. That sure is horse meat they serve in that restaurant. Why, how do you know? Well, I ordered a steak, and just as I took a bite, some teamster on the street hollered, "Whoa!" And that meat stuck right in my throat. Was the dance a success? Yes, roughly speaking. Froth reports a successful banquet at a University of Pennsylvania fraternity house. A couple of alumni were revenue officers. Manicure story. There is a divinity that shapes our ends, rough hew them as we may. Let us sing. Put away the tweezers till our eyebrows meet again. Fleeced again, said the lamb as he kicked at the high-top boots. A demi-virgin, so I'm told, is bold and needs no urging. Aye, but man, wouldn't you love to love a demi-john? Stevie has a stiff job. He's working at the morgue. I could live on Limburger cheese alone. You'd have to. The early bird catches the worm, of that there is no question. But if the worm should chance to turn, my gosh, some indigestion. Old maids always imagine there is a man in the house at night, but married women know better. Good morning, Eve. So Eve looked over her shoulder at the serpent and said, I'd take your juicy fruit if you weren't so wriggly. Our monthly motto, love one woman at a time, all children, and some men. I ran into a girl with my Ford, made a hit, so I picked her up. Pete and I had quite an argument the other day, which we'll let our readers settle. He insisted that there were more women than men married last year. Another soap song. A masher slopped a pretty girl, says she to him. Oh, shucks, wash your neck with Bon Ami. That may improve your looks. Wife. Jakey, there's a burglar under the bed. Jakey. Shh, not a word. We will charge him for the night's lodging. Golightly Moral writes that the girls in Egypt have plenty of speed, but no control. When I got off the train at Miami, the red cap was assuring. Carry yo bag, boss, never bust a bottle yet. Add fairy tales. I was so lonesome, dear, while you were away, that I went to bed every night at 9 o'clock. The psychology test. puppet prints for the first time the results of the astounding psychological tests recently made by Professor Ivan Awful Line for Puppet. Anyone giving good reasons why these answers are correct will be awarded the Helium Medal for Irresponsibles, the Sacred Cross of Pink Polecats, and the Ragged Ribbon of the Remingtons. First question. What would you do if you found yourself in an airtight room containing a mad dog, a rattlesnake, and a pair of sleigh bells? Answer. Invariably, you would grasp the rattlesnake by the hind leg and rattle him, thus scaring the dog. Now you have the dog rattled. Now toll the bells for a period of 93 seconds and at once determine what the bells tolled. Then, at the psychological moment, slay the dogs with bells. ICS. Second question. Supposing you had nothing to eat for 3 years. Suddenly you come upon a grocery store. On the outside of the store is a stand containing large, juicy red apples. You steal one and, looking up, see a policeman. What would you do? Answer. Run into the store, jump on a scale, and get away. Third question. An Indian with a club foot, unable to walk, is stranded in the Sahara Desert 62 3/3 miles from a child's restaurant, with one pancake in his possession. How will he keep from starving? Answer. In the absence of a child's restaurant, he can eat a man's lunch by the following means. First, detach the Indian club from his foot, and with it puncture a large hole in the pancake. He can now eat the pancake, have the whole of it left, and have the Sahara for dessert. End of section 17, read by Scotty Smith. Section 18 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Short Quips and Stories, Part 2. Pelican Stuff. Does she dance badly? Yes, if the chaperones aren't looking. My supper's cold, he swore with vim, and then she made it hot for him. My girl is so dumb she thinks an aspirin tablet is writing paper. Sundodger says you always can draw the queens if you have got the jack. Oh, that's fine. Lieutenant, who in hell put these flowers on this table? Sergeant, the commanding officer, sir. Lieutenant, pretty flowers, aren't they? San Francisco dentist married a manicure girl, and now they are fighting tooth and nail. Hang this on the doorknob. The Creator gave you 2 ears and only 1 tongue, so you could hear twice as much as you say. How careless of him! From the Clearville Independent. Found, and my home on 1820 Hunt Avenue, gentleman's sterling cigarette case. Owner may have same by calling again. John Snow. Ikey's Mental Racetrack. Ikey, our Jewish farm hand, was telling us the other night how smart his father was. He said his old man's fortune was started as the outcome of a train wreck in which both his father and mother were in. My father had such a quick mind that when he saw mother was not hurt in the wreck, he kicked her so hard in the face that he collected $25,000 damages. When woman was made out of man's rib, someone pulled a bone. My wife can make it so good now at home that she calls it the beer that makes Milwaukee jealous. I've got the bakery shop blues because I need the dough. The Punch Bowl. Marion certainly must be a good girl. Why so? Her name came up in the barber shop last night, and no one knew anything about her. Resident. Ah, a letter from my wife. Visitor. But there's no writing on the paper. Resident. No, we're not on speaking terms. Simple arithmetic. Deacon Jones recently flivvered his 11 children to our village photographer. How much you charge for a photograph? He asked. $18 a dozen, replied the cameraman. Goodbye, said Jones as he hustled his youngsters outside. I'll be back next year. A chafing dish. What's a chafing dish? Asked O'Brien of O'Toole. "A chafing dish," answered O'Toole to O'Brien. "It's a frying pan that's got into society." The Bull Colossal. Enraged, the Bull Colossal rears his giant form against the god. Well, Taurus, well thou spurn'st the sod in that huge plunge of 1,000,000 years. It takes a diplomat to enter a barber shop and come out with no more than he went in for. I hate to play billiards with 3 balls as I dislike to make fun out of anyone's business. The great man waved aside all objections. "Let him in," he cried, pointing to a delegation from the Barbers' Union. "I knew 'em when they were little shavers." "Animal Tales. I thought you told me that dog of yours at the house was a good rat dog." "Sure is, Sam, he sure is." "Well, how come when I passed there this morning that the dog was drinking milk out of a bowl with 10 or 11 big rats drinking out of it too?" "Are you sure that was my house?" "Sure am." "Well, you sure it was my dog?" "Positively." "Well then, you see those are our rats, but let any strange rats come around and he will take care of them all right." When a fellow is allowed to muss a girl's hair, he considers it a net gain. She considers it a net loss. There was a grass widow, quite proper, who formerly married A. Hopper, but he got a divorce. As a matter of course, the grass widow is now a grass hopper. Old stuff. At 20, a kiss is an experiment. At 40, a sentiment. And after that, a compliment. "I believe in specialists, beheck," said Hep White. "When my heart is bad, I go to a heart specialist. When my lungs are bad, I go to a lung specialist." "Them's my sentiments, too," interrupted Mrs. Wilkins. "Take my boy Jimmy. When his tonsils bothered, I took him to a regular tonsorial artist." Doggone it. A farmer friend of mine was standing in the road with a gun tucked under his arm and an old dog at his side. He was directly in the path of a motor car. The chauffeur sounded his horn, but the dog did not move until he was struck. After that, he did not move. The automobile stopped and one of the men got out and came forward. He had once paid a farmer $10 for killing a calf that belonged to another farmer. This time he was wary. "Was that your dog?" "Yes." "You own him?" "Yes." "Looks as if we'd killed him." "Certainly looks so." "Very valuable dog?" "Well, not so very." "Will $5 satisfy you?" "Yes." "Well then, here you are." He handed a $5 bill to the man with the gun and said pleasantly, "I'm sorry to have broken up your hunt." "I wasn't going hunting," replied the other as he pocketed the bill. "Not going hunting? Then what were you doing with the dog and the gun?" "Going down to the river to shoot the dog." Rubbing it in. "My dear," remarked Smith as they were absorbing the beauties of the Grand Canyon, "nature is marvelous, stupendous. When I gaze at this vast expanse, it makes me think how puerile, how insignificant man is." "Huh," sniffed his better half. "I knew that before we ever came here." Men are like kerosene lamps. They are not over bright, usually turn down, most always smoke, and generally go out at night. Then Ma used the rolling pin. Little Johnny. "Ma, what did Pa mean when he said to that man, 'You got a good figure'?" Mama Hopkins. "I suppose he meant that he got a good price for some land he sold." Johnny. "Say, Ma, does Pa's stenographer sell land too?" Good yarn. "Darn socks!" exclaimed the young married lady as she threw the yarn in the work basket. Proficiency from Langford, Pennsylvania Leader. On Thursday and Friday evenings of next week, The Busy Liar, a comedy from start to finish, will be given. The local members have been practicing for a long time. Insurance Bull. We knew a man with an automobile who said he was a careful driver, and he was. He said he would never injure anyone, and he didn't. He said if anything happened, it would be the other fellow's fault. And it was. That didn't prevent the other fellow from demanding damages, and he did. Our man said it was not his fault and that he would not pay anything, and he didn't. The other chap said, I'll sue you, and he did. Our friend's lawyer said, we can beat him in court, and they did. Whereupon our friend said, ha, I win. And then he paid his lawyer a fee of $100 plus expenses and ran his car the rest of the year at his own risk. Foolish, wasn't he? The Meat Boy's Love. I never sausage eyes as thine, and if you'll butcher hand in mine, and liver round me every day, we'd seek some hamlet far away. We'd meet life's frown with life's caress, and cleave a road to happiness. Men admire women for their beauty, respect them for their virtue, adore them for their intelligence, and love them because they can't help it. Hives rhyme with wives, in sound and letter match. If I had both these at once, ye gods, I'd have to scratch. End of section 18. Read by Scotty Smith.
Section 19 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett. Our Rural Mailbox. In a fix. The father always holds the gun, while brother gives the bride away. Shilliday. Sorry, we can't use your story entitled, I Am Onions for You, Kid. It's too strong. Will it hurt? Jip, the fortune teller, can get you in touch with departed spirits. Lonely wifey. Don't worry about your husband while you are away. The chances are he isn't having a good time, alone. Will E. Coppet. When you are sitting in an apartment and see a pretty ship go by, it is either time to clear the deck or pull in your periscope. Helen Butte. You win, Helen. Your sweetheart should get a job at herding sheep this summer. End of section 19. End of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 3, Number 32, April 1922, by W. H. Fawcett.